Martian is directed by Ridley Scott and stars a lot of talented actors that I'm not going to mention because it would take way too long, so I'm just going to mention one.
Matt Damon!
This film is about a botanist slash astronaut, Mark Watney. Watney is on Mars with a team of other astronauts, but when a storm comes, the team is forced to flee Mars and return back to Earth. During the evacuation, Mark Watney is struck by a piece of debris and is killed. The rest of the team is forced to leave his body and they return home. The only problem is, Mark Watney did not die that day. Now he must survive on Mars with only his knowledge of science and technology. Now Ridley Scott is a very, very talented director. I love lots of his movies like Blade Runner, Alien, and much more. But recently, some of his movies have been hit and miss. An example would be Exodus, Gods and Kings. It's not a bad movie, but it's not up to Ridley Scott's caliber. So he went back to his roots with a sci-fi film, and an immaculate sci-fi film at that. Ridley Scott's directing this movie is absolutely incredible. I hope he is nominated for an Oscar, and if he is not, that is truly a disappointment because he absolutely deserves it in this movie. This film has a very inspirational undertone of the human spirit and adversity, and how to persevere through a tough situation without getting down on yourself and believing in yourself. I truly believe this film will inspire lots of young people into becoming astronauts, so they can do things like Mark does in this movie. The story is told as if it's a true story. The way they present things makes you feel like it's really real. When you leave the theater, you're like, I can't believe somebody actually survived on Mars. That's crazy. How did somebody do that for that long? You know, this wasn't a true story. This was based off a book written by Andy Weir. The story is kind of a love child of Castaway, Apollo 13, and Gravity. But something this film does that Castaway does not, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Castaway, but in Castaway, you only get to see from Tom Hanks' perspective, and you don't get to see how everybody else is reacting to this situation. It cuts to NASA, and it shows them trying to deal with this situation, and how to get him back, and how to devise a way to get him home safely in the amount of time they're given. The telling of the story is very compelling, and you feel like this is how everyone would react. As the whole Mars fiasco thing is ensuing, the whole world knows about it. And you're like, yeah, if an astronaut was on Mars, everyone would know about it. It would be a huge deal. Everybody would be talking about it and tweeting about it and everything. Everybody would be watching the TV to see how he can get rescued and all this stuff, and they'd be keeping up with it, which is something that this film adds that is makes for an extremely entertaining movie. Like, this movie is so entertaining on just a ridiculous level, and it's hard for me not to just go off and just talk about this movie because I love it so much. Since you're with Mark Watney through 75% of the movie, this movie wouldn't work if he was a character that was annoying or you didn't like or you didn't want to root for. But luckily, the character of Mark Watney is one of my favorite characters this year. Like, he is such a likable character. He's so funny. He's got such an optimistic look on things. And if it was me, I know that once I would get hit with the debris and it's puncturing my suit, I'd be like, okay, I'm dead. But he keeps persevering and trying harder and trying to think of the best way that he can use his knowledge of space and botany to get through the situation and survive. His character is, of course, portrayed marvelously by Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Damon's portrayal of Watney is absolutely brilliant. He is so hilarious, and like I said, you just keep rooting for him the entire movie, and you could be with this character for the entire duration of the movie because that's how likable and how funny he is and how interesting his character is. I keep saying how funny this movie is, and it really truly is hilarious. I was laughing several times in this movie. The humor in it is very reminiscent of a Marvel movie where there's lots of quips and sarcasm. When I left this movie, I was like, you know who could have been really good in that movie? Robert Downey Jr. It seems like the kind of movie that Robert Downey Jr. could have been really good in. I'm not saying that he would have done a better job than Matt Damon. I'm just saying if somebody forced me to recast this movie, I probably would have picked Robert Downey Jr. And that probably just tells you how funny this movie is and how Robert Downey Jr.'s character of like Tony Stark and how sarcastic he is would have really read well in this movie. The cinematography is also a ridiculously great thing in this movie. This film is so beautiful to look at. I saw this movie in 3D, and the 3D isn't necessary to see the movie, but it just adds a little something. But this movie is just so beautiful on an aesthetic level. Everything from the costumes to the CGI to the sets is just so beautiful looking, and it's just It's such a good movie. Oh my god. There wasn't one shot in this movie where I was like, nope, that's fake. Everything looks totally, completely real. You feel like you're on Mars, and it's extremely immersive. When you look at films in all aspects, like plot, characters, special effects, and all that, this movie is great in all categories. It's unbelievable. Movies like this that remind you why you love movies. This is without a doubt my favorite movie of the year, surpassing Mad Max Fury Road, which I was for sure thought was going to be my favorite movie. The only movie I thought that was going to surpass it was Star Wars. I don't want to put it into my top 50 of all time yet because I've only seen it once, and I'd like to rewatch it again to see if it still has that rewatch value. As of right now, it's for sure a contender for my favorite sci-fi movies of all time, because this movie is just, it's absurdly entertaining, it's hilarious, it's well acted, it's well directed, it's just such an easy movie to sit and watch for 3 hours. This movie has no pacing problems, I thought. I cannot wait till this movie comes out on Blu-ray, and I'm absolutely going to buy it right the day when it comes out. And of course, you know it, I'm going to give The Martian a 10 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'm sorry this review took so long. I've been extremely busy, and I'm just now finding the time for this review, even though I saw this movie opening night, which was like 9 days ago or 8 days ago or something like that. Along with Sicario, Pan, god dang, Pan, and Revenge of the Sith are some videos that will be coming very soon. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time.